Great, good evening. So I'm Norbert Schnell, that's Benjamin Matuszewski, and we are researchers and developers at IRCAM. So we are very much about sound and music, and a few about games, and that's why we love to be here, because we think it's really something we want to hook up with and do. And some game-like things we did already in our team at IRCAM. Benjamin is came a little later, kind of 2 years ago, almost. Yeah, I'm there for a long time. So my background is in interactive audio processing. I actually did a lot of games. I remember working on a pinball machine that made sound and music. That must have been in 95 of the last century. So imagine a concert for 2 chess players, 3 musicians, and 3 pinball players. And we got somebody integrating a MIDI interface into the pinball machines, and they were controlling IRCAM hardware. That was before I came to IRCAM. They were controlling IRCAM hardware doing real-time sound processing. That was the time when, in order to do real-time audio processing, you still needed kind of some custom machines, and that was in this case a Next computer with specialized cards IRCAM built actually before in the beginning of the 90s. Anyway, that was my first game maybe in that thing, and then I remember working on a gambling machine controlling. I didn't give, it's not the topic today, right? So I didn't prepare this, but I thought I should tell you about it because it's really fun. Imagine a gambling machine controlling 3 video instances of a dancer performing and doing beatboxing and body percussion, and whatever you do with it, the sound will always stay in a beat grid and doing ticka 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 ticka. And the last thing we did in 2011 was a basketball game that was in Futur en Scène. It was shown at the piazza of the Centre Pompidou for 10 days, I think. It was a basketball game, or kind of a sub-basketball game that controlled the musical environment. So games, as you see, in this case always meant that something that takes space and, is related to movement and gesture. Now, years later, I converted myself to somebody who exclusively uses web technology on mobile phones. And we have this wonderful research project called COSIMA for Collaborative Situated Media. That's a kind of collaborative at itself, a collaborative research project where a little company, Orb, doing mobile technologies very much for museums and some artistic projects, and the ENSAD lab, so the laboratory, research laboratory of the Art Décoratif, and some other companies are in, and that's an A&R research project that is on for 2 years now. 2 years. We have another year to go to finish this, and this will be a platform that supports mobile, collaborative mobile applications in different scenarios. So the Orb, the company we're working with, they are much defending scenarios where people walk around with headphones and there's geolocation or indoor localization, and sounds is everywhere and spatialized and as a function of where you are, and then they start to let people interact with other sensors in the mobile phones, and then we actually, as IRCAM, we are defending very much things like collaborative performances, collaborative improvisation, participative concerts. I will talk about it a little more. And NSAD Lab, the last thing they did, I won't talk about it either, is actually a huge monolith projecting light into the sky. You saw maybe at the Palais Tokyo last December. It's something where you can send messages to, and they will be translated into Morse and morsed into the skies. That was December, and a year before that was at the Fête des Lumières in Lyon. Very nice installation. So this is kind of the things we are up for. And evidently, I don't know if I have to talk about it to you about this. We like mobile devices. So let's remember, we are coming from music, right? We are coming from music. We did these games I talked about. That is more marginal projects. We did a lot of new digital instruments and things like that. And giving up on the idea that there will be ever a new instrument that would be like the old instruments. And since then, we are in a daily and continuous hackathon now since 5 or 10 years, developing new projects. And since 2 years, we do that exclusively, as I say. For half of the team, for the half of the team I am, and Benjamin is, and somebody else, on mobile devices and web technologies. So, of course, the nice thing about mobile devices is that everybody has one, and that all of these devices have really great sensing facilities, right? They have all these accelerometers, gyroscope, microphones, cameras, and so on, and they are quite powerful machines. I just told you about this next computer. Imagine a next computer in 1995, even constructed 2 years before, 1993, something like this. Imagine a next computer with 6 RISC processor, 3 cards with 6 RISC processor on it. And now in a mobile phone, we have 4 to 8 times more computation power, which is really cool, really, really cool. So there is something to do with this, right? Even from the point of view of somebody who did real-time audio processing on heavy machines in the prehistory. And now what we like so very much too is web standard, which means, of course, HTML5, Web Audio API, which is not a standard yet. It's a proposal, but we hope that it will become a standard this year. It's already implemented in the major browsers, including Edge and Firefox. Of course, we tap into device motion orientation, WebSockets, WebRTC marginally because it's not available on iOS, as you know, as a open web technology at least, in the web browser, and WebKit, and of course we use Node.js. And everything we do is collaborative, collective, and co-located. So we still have this idea that sound music is happening somewhere where people gather together, pull their smartphone out of the pocket, and here we go, we make music. And I will just take some time. First we will do it. First we will do it. So this is the first part of get your smartphone ready, okay? So if it's not iOS 7 or Android, we do something else, you can listen. If it's not charged, you will be. But listening is great. Even if we are not super many people, we are scattered all over the room, and that will be quite an experience. So you unmute your sound and pump up the volume to the maximum, and make sure that your device doesn't fall asleep all the time. That's not very pleasant. And then we have a little Wi-Fi here. You just connect to Cosima, and then to the web page, use Safari or Chrome. It will be better. If you have a Windows phone with Edge, try it. Or if you really want to use Firefox, try it. We are a little behind with testing. It could work or not. But it will work very soon if it doesn't. So Cosima, co.z.ma, and then you can just, the birds you find on a button then. So if you did this Cosima/birds, you should have, as me, I just reloaded, yes, should work, a yellow page. Is everything okay? With me it's a little blocked here. Yeah, looks like, yeah. A yellow page with a couple of buttons with Latin names. That's all names of birds. And you choose one and jiggle your phone. And then we can have our first collective improvisation going. Sorry, yeah. So you must connect to the Wi-Fi, Cosima, and then if not, co.z.ma is a page somewhere in Morocco. So you must connect to my little Wi-Fi here. Should be okay. And then you tickle your phone. So this is part of our first finger exercises to do. Yeah, there are the other applications too, but we want to improvise with birds now. Of course, what's nice about birds is that they have this very small articulate apparatus that is kind of, they don't have huge loudspeakers, birds, so it's something that renders well on a little phone speaker. And then it's all about communicating with each other. It's about competing for acoustic space. So it's a perfect metaphor for some improvisation. Of course, it's dynamic. You can do little birds. And dense birds. Somebody found the monks. This is more kind of like that. It's another application. No, we stay with the birds. Stay with it. It doesn't work? So did you unmute your phone? Did you unmute it? No, you didn't unmute it. The volume to the maximum? It's a bird too, huh? Anyway, so we will leave it there. I will show you some more stuff we are doing, like, more musical stuff. For example, this one, you find it too on. If you have an iOS device.
Buddy, you're a boy, make a. Buddy, you're a boy, make a. Buddy, you're a boy, make a big noise, playing in the street. Gonna be a big man someday. You got mud on your face, you big disgrace, kicking your can all over the place. We will. Sing it. We will. Buddy, you're a boy, make a big
As you can hear from the slightly sluggish tempo that has, it's really live performed. It's actually recorded inside the phone, and then we mounted. That is, of course, all simple web pages. It's really a simple web page. No communication between devices or whatever. No synchronization. You get the synchronization just by hitting. The sensors are getting into the JavaScript world, into the web audio API world, with a frequency or with a rate of with a period of 50 milliseconds, so that it's not great for rhythmic stuff, but anyway, you can do something with it. So here we have another application we did a little later that all is now a year old. Imagine this was all done for workshops with teenagers. That's why we don't have any materials from them. So imagine a microphone in the middle of the room, and everybody goes up to the microphone and records something, and as soon as recorded, it's analyzed. You can load it on your device and shake it. and it's all the same techniques like the birds in terms of sound processing. You get the idea. In terms of sound processing, it's all the same techniques of actually ordering the sound materials, automatically cutting them into pieces, and order the pieces according to their energy, actually, to their intensity. So we can, if you shake a lot, we take the more intense and sounds, and if you shake less, you take the less intense sounds. So this means that all comes out of the phone's loudspeakers. We didn't bring them today, but if we do such workshops with under 40 people, we give the people a little loudspeaker actually with a mini jack, and so that of course pumps up the volume to something beyond the conversation, so we don't have to go psh all the time. But for many situations, the loudspeakers of the phones are actually fine. This is not one of these situations. It's an installation with a projection on the floor. Again, the phones are synchronized, so we have this very NTP-like web-based clock synchronization algorithm in the framework we're building, and the sound again comes out of the phone speakers or out of the speakers connected to the phone. So in this case, people would gather around this camembert, right? And there's this moving camembert piece that would be like a loop sequencer, and if it's on your part, because you choose one, there are just 8, and if there are 8 people, it's done. Here there are 7 people. You see one is empty here, and when there's this highlighting thing that goes. The video I will show you is very cryptic. It's a little RT video, so you won't understand everything. That's why I explained it to you before. So this highlighting thing that will go ding 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 ding, and if it's on you, you can select actually what will be played when it's your turn, and then the sound that you selected. So here everybody selected the same sounds basically, but this person. The sound will come out of your loudspeaker. So the sound will travel around this camembert. And then you can control the volume with this movement. So it would go off like this and go on. And since we like experimental music, we came up with this weird scale that prevents you from making melodies. You get the idea. So you have 3 percussion notes, 6 bass notes, and 12 kind of melodic harmonic notes. You can choose all with these kind of marimba sounds. Another big project we did is a participative concert with Chloe. Chloe does, he's a DJ, but she also does this live electronic music, and we were more on the live electronic side. And we did this Fête de la Musique with her, and these are some images from the La Nuit Blanche at the Gaieté Lyrique. And what happens in the concert is that you will see it on the images. I will show you some seconds of a video. When people connect to the web page that is associated to this concert, so they must, as you just did for the birds, connect to Wi-Fi and then connect to a web page. And this time, as in the last 3 things I showed you, the phones communicate with each other and are synchronized and everything. And she has 4 iPads actually. When they enter the system, you must say approximately where you are. There's a little card, a little map of the venue, and you say, okay, I'm kind of here, close to the whatever, to the emergency exit on the right side or close to the stage, and then you show up as a little point, as a little dot on the 4 iPads she has, in order to let 4 sounds move over the public. So she can move sound textures over the public, and then she has a 5th iPad on which she can choose which of 4 little kind of instruments, you could say, things you can play with, would show up on the people's phones. And then she would take back the sound level of what she's doing, and people would play with her. And it's all little instruments based on sounds that come in her setting too. And yeah, well, here are some images of this thing. So it starts with everybody having this whisper sound on his or her phone. Here's the thing where you say, okay, I'm approximately here. And then imagine a concert that starts with whispering smartphones, of course with closed voice, and saying something like, "What's up? What happens? How does it work?" Well, and then she would start playing, and the whole thing goes off, and moving sounds over the people's phones and stuff. Well, the video is actually not very helpful to understand what's going on. Anyway, you can imagine that. So that's kind of what we're doing. I would like to perform with you one more thing, and then we get into the workshop part of this thing, that we stole from Brian Eno, who did this iPhone application called Bloom. And we did drops out of this, which is, it sounds a little bit different. We didn't want that it's totally like the Brian Eno thing, but it makes, as Brian Eno's thing, circles on your phone and little sounds, and when you touch the screen. So it's Cosima again, and it's without the /birds. Sorry, no, it won't do it because I didn't start the server. We are still with this one. I should do this, and then it will do it. I will. So now, so it's co.c.ma, and if you must kind of reload it until your phone understood that you're now with drops, and it should be a black screen saying welcome to drops. And then if you click on that, it would synchronize your phone with the others and tell you to wait for everybody getting ready. And then I would come up with this thing you shouldn't know about, and especially not the URL, and say, okay, we're going. And then you can play these little sound drops. And what will happen is that whatever you play on your phone will be repeated on the phone of somebody else and on the phone of somebody else before it comes back to your phone and turns around until it vanishes. And when you shake your phone, you just erase what you just launched. So like everything that I showed you, this is a kind of game without rules, you know? So it's about listening to each other, and, you know, nothing will help you to make a nice concert out of this. And I anyway would like that we take 2 minutes. What is that? Very interesting. Anyway, so I would like that we do this together, please. So I will invite you for a little moment. I can stop you. I would like to invite you for a little moment to a little improvisation. Let's take 2 minutes for this, okay? So here we're the game people now. Here are the music people coming to the game people, but here are maybe music people too, huh? I could imagine. Anyway, so collective improvisation is about listening to the others and nothing else, right? It's not about playing and playing and playing. The first thing you do is listening, and if nobody's playing, it's even better. Then we can listen to the air conditioning and look out of the window and everything. And eventually somebody will start to play because he or she can't hold it anymore. And then we will see that there is this one drop thing wandering around, and we will understand how it works. So the only instruction I would like to give you for this improvisation we will do here together is not to play, basically. Okay? So we will get this running, and then don't play. Well, welcome to the world of music. So why we came here is that this is how far we got in terms of gameplay. And that's why we are so excited to meet you. So we have behind this all, what I showed you, I think everything is based on a framework we call Soundworks. It's on GitHub. It's basically something we use to do our stuff. And it basically doesn't do anything, which we are very proud of, because it doesn't come with a lot of kind of constraints of, you know, how you should look at things and how which you know, how we like the APIs of things. Of course, there's some of it, but anyway. So basically, it's a collection of services that help you to do such things, to set up such applications, and they're pretty trivial. It won't help you with any rendering. For that, you would use WebRD API and WebGL and Canvas. We did a very, very little thing to abstract views, and even a Canvas view where you can you know, we were hiding the animation frame cycle in a little API. That's all we did, actually, graphics-wise, and we didn't do anything in terms of audio, because there's web audio, and we like it, and we don't want to wrap it into anything that doesn't make it easier. So what the thing does is that it gives you a couple of services, like the one that would check if that should work on your phone or not, through which you can tell your application that, well, I will need audio, and I will need this and that. I will need sensors, and I need those sensors and stuff. And then it would say to the user when he or she connects to the system, okay, this is not for you, or welcome to whatever. And then it has three ways of kind of localizing people without having localization, right? There is no indoor localization, and, you know, of course, geolocalization outside using GPS is trivial. There's a web IPA for it that works very well. But indoor, there is pretty much nothing. And so, you know, depending on application, you would use the service that gives you this little map where you can put your own image behind. It would give you a possibility to have a setup where you have labels that are associated to positions, like you would have in a theater, where people sit on seats that have actually very precise positions. So you could use that. Or that you would draw things on the floor, and then there are two ways. Either people would say, okay, I am on whatever place 77, or you would say, go to place 77. This is basically what it does. It has a loader that kind of wraps a little bit sound file loading and sound description file loading, and it has a scheduler that is audio, has some audio features to it, and it has this famous synchronization that clock synchronizes devices, and then the scheduler, if you use that, the scheduler can actually be on this shared clock and do things in rhythm or whatever. Now there's actually, I tell you right away, doing in rhythm doesn't work yet if you have an inhomogeneous park of devices in your application, because Android has very strong latency still. I mean, most of the devices, really the huge majority of devices. And there is now, in the last version of the web audio standard, a way of knowing the latency of the devices, so we can synchronize them, but that is really very, very recent. So there is this motion input that gives you, that's basically a wrapper of device motion and device orientation, but that tries to normalize a little bit the differences and bad implementations of the standard. And then there's something that is shared parameters that is, for example, used by this thing that you would have some parameters to change, and they would be propagated to all the clients, and clients could change them. That is basically everything we provide in Soundworks. So it's really something we use for our own developments and like to share with our people. As I said, there's this slight abstraction of views that you can have HTML templates, and then if you are not really familiar with all this, you can just change some templates in order to have the right text and dynamically changing text on your screen, and then you can get deeper and deeper into writing views. basically HTML5, right? There's nothing very special we provide here either. And then there is this idea using WebSocket, for those who are familiar, WebSocket namespaces and URL extensions together in order to define different client types. So in this drops thing, we had two client types involved, right? There was the conductor, actually, this is just another client. And you all had the default client, which is often called the player. And if you would have players with different roles, you could have different clients for them with different URLs. And the different client types are always mapped to different URLs, actually. This is a little thing the library is based on. Well, and then make an application for Soundworks, you would always start from the template. And this is maybe something we can do. Look at the template. That is really, that doesn't do anything impressive. But anyway, we can do that.
Do you want to do that now, or would it be better to do it after the presentation?
The presentation stops here, I guess. And here we could slide a little bit into code, if you are fine with that. Are there questions or something? Should we make a break, or?
Yeah, maybe ask some questions, and then
Okay.
I'll stop the film, and then we can do the code
Perfect.
together.
So basically, of course, the message we come with is that imagine games that really happen in space. And of course, audio is a great component in the sense that I don't have to look anywhere in order to listen, right? And we localize audio very well. So the proposal that we would come with, if ever we could, is, well, let's think of how games would be where you're running around in space, even no map or geolocalization. It's just about, throwing sounds at each other. You could, of course, come up with ideas where people use phones more like controllers, and you would have a client, a web page that you display somewhere. In Collective Loops, for example, this installation with a sequencer, that's also a web page, actually, which is projected to the floor. So it's everything. You could see Soundworks actually as a system, kind of Internet of Things system, where you would give different web clients different roles and synchronize them to a common clock and send messages, and that could be whatever elements. A loudspeaker could be in the room, could be connected to a mobile device running a certain client, and sometimes doing something as a function of what people sent there. And there could be a couple of those loudspeakers, and there could be some projectors and some robotic elements or whatever that react on, and they're synchronized like the other clients. And that's kind of our idea of how we could program games.
Can you record sounds through the microphone?
So, yes, there is a standard for that. I mean, they're actually, unfortunately, recording something from the microphone with web technologies is part of the WebRTC standard, which is really unfortunate because it's not available on iOS devices in WebKit. But on Android devices, you can do that. I can't show that. But we have a little demo, maybe you can come up with that thing. Little shaker where all phones are synchronized and you can record something and shake it. Like that thing we showed on the video with a microphone, that was still connected to a computer and doing some Max MSP and stuff. But we have a version that works actually just on your phone. You record something and you shake it. Just on Android, but as a web page. Same thing for camera. It's really unfortunate that these two functionalities are actually part of WebRTC, I think. It's maybe not the reason why Apple blocks WebRTC. But anyway, they apparently they move. So eventually there will be WebRTC in web browsers on iOS soon.
I will see maybe to make easier the localization in the room, maybe use if it's possible in future when it's in pilot in RTC anymore,
Oui.
not only in RTC anymore, to use recording of sound to make a triangulation.
Yeah, we're thinking a lot about this actually, and thought even we're in a research project. We could do such things, but the thing is that imagine to integrate it in a scenario. It's kind of something you need some very special sounds or silence, and I think yeah. Yeah. I would find that very exciting anyway. What we are currently exploring actually, which would of course turn us from web technologies towards integration of native code through Cordovar and stuff, what we're actually doing, is to experiment with beaconing, so that you would have the approximate distance between devices, and using them, collecting information either locally or on a server would give us the possibility. First of all, you can do a lot of stuff already with just knowing which devices are close to you and in which approximate distance. And the other is that if you send this information to the server could figure out with some multidimensional scaling or similar algorithms actually an approximate topology, topography actually of the participants' devices. It's cool. But again, it won't be. We lose the web world, and what we love so much about the web technology is that we are doing nothing but prototyping, of course, and trying out stuff. And okay, there is no microphone. Okay, there is not this. It doesn't matter because there are so many things to explore. You can do by putting mobile devices on a network and communicate between them. That we say, okay, web technologies are so great for prototyping. They're so easy to develop and deploy, but it's really fun. I mean, from a line of code to, okay, let's try it, it's really, please connect, and here we go. It's very, very comfortable.
Other questions? All right, maybe we'll stop the presentation there, take a little break, and then do the tutorial. Okay, so thank you very much.
Okay.